Hello, welcome to this series entitled The Law of Karma, Destiny and Choice. Today we will be looking at karma from a different angle, and by that I mean the law of karma and compassion. It is my honor to be interviewing Sister Denise from the Brahma Kumaris. It's great to have you back. Welcome.
Thank you, Magla.
From the beginning of the series, you have been telling us about how the law of karma operates. Today we're going to look at things from a different angle. You are obviously not the only teacher of the law of karma. There are others. Because the law of karma is so harsh, it's exceptionally harsh. When one delivers this message, how should it be done in such a way that you don't hurt the person further and more than the pain they already have?
Now, this is a very important thing. A very important thing to bear in mind is that up until the present time, the real information about the law of karma has not been available. At this time, it is available. The knower of the law of karma is God. God gives that information.
Is he the only one who knows it? So no human being actually understands it. It's just contained in the intellect of God.
Correct. But many human beings know a little bit, and as you know,
A little
bit of
knowledge is a dangerous thing. Okay.
Yes.
We've established that.
And people who have a little bit of the knowledge of karma very often do very dangerous things with it. So we need to look at this, which is what this episode is all about. Now, I would like to mention another reality that we know about simultaneously with knowing about the law of karma, and that is that the process of the world, or the way the world proceeds, is not evolution but devolution. And this is also something that people cannot bear any more than they can bear the realities of the laws of karma. And this is why it has to be given at the end of a karmic cycle.
Those big words that you just used. We think, most of us on planet Earth think that we're going up, and you're saying we're going down?
We have to think we're going up, because unless we believe in progress, it's too depressing. So it's like a trick of destiny that everyone has to believe that we're getting better and better. In terms of the period of time when we know about the procedure of the world, and we also learn about the laws of karma, that is the time when the energy of descent or decline shifts into rise. And this is the time when it's possible to handle the awful truth. So when you're delivering this kind of information, you have to be very skilled to deliver it in such a way that a person is able to take benefit from it. Many people are clumsy about this, very clumsy, and maybe unintentionally do really negative karma in the process of delivering information about karma. So this you have to really be careful about, and this is what we want to talk about today. How do you do that? Yeah? Somebody may be in front of a really terrible situation. Your child commits suicide. Your beloved is in a terrible airplane crash. Your doctor tells you, sorry, you have 2 months to live. You know, these kind of bombs that land in a person's lap. And if some wisecrack comes along and says, oh, well, you know, that's your karma, you know, what is this? That is not, you can say, quote unquote, spiritual. That is not wise. That is callous.
And cruel.
and cruel. And so when we learn about the laws of karma and all these things, we also have to learn to deliver this information in such a way that it is beneficial and useful and at the right time. It may be that something really terrible happens to someone. One interpretation is it's karmic consequences. Another interpretation is it's a big test. Another interpretation is destiny. But in the face of really terrible, traumatic, catastrophic incidents, what do you need at that time? And I remember going to the Philippines just a few short months after a major hurricane, or typhoon they call it over there, in which 400,000 people were killed and entire cities were gone, all the inhabitants drowned. I was asked by the survivors, why did this happen? Because people have this question, why? The immediate reaction is, why? How do I deal with this? And just prior to that, there had been one of our teachings in which it was described that when anything really catastrophic happens, behind everything, the reason for it is to make you strong and to make you experienced. So I said that that was the reason. And it was a risk to say that, because I didn't know if that would be the right thing to say or not. But I took that risk, and people said, yeah, that makes sense. They could accept that, yeah, that we can work with that. But you know, if you say to somebody, well, that's your karma, it's an accusation. And telling a person, you know, you are responsible for this horrible thing that's happening, you deserve it. And so they are really punching someone who's already on the ground. And that, in the rules of engagement, that's against the law. And so when you do that, you are actually acquiring a lot of negative karma, and there will be immediate, mid-term and long-term severe consequences. So this would be considered a severe mistake, and you better not do it twice.
Yeah. Yes.
Every present moment you have choice. So you have a present moment where, okay, you know this information, and here is somebody who is wanting you, as a supposed wise person, to give an explanation. What do they need? They need you to be compassionate. They need you to feel what they're feeling. They need you to be with them and lend your strength to them so that they can get across this major situation. That is what you have to do. And you have to be wise enough to pick it up right away.
That answer was rather comprehensive. We discussed in other episodes the operation of the law of karma. The way the law operates in most countries across the globe is that the police investigate a crime against somebody. They either give the person a notice to appear in court if there is evidence against the person, or the person's arrested and brought to court. A charge is put by the prosecuting authority to the individual. He pleads or she pleads either guilty or not guilty. The trial ensues. The judge finds, if he finds guilty, he gives reasons for the finding, then there's a sentence. That is the normal operation of how justice works. Well, when it comes to the law of karma, steps A to Y is deleted or doesn't exist at all. And all that happens is a sentence is delivered out of the blue. I think this is what catches people off guard. They literally cannot see it coming.
That's right. And this is why I think what we're trying to do in this series is intended to be helpful, because if you can really know how this machinery of karma works, you're in a better position to interpret your sentence. I think I have mentioned before that when something strikes like that, you have a couple of possible reactions. One is, what did I do to deserve this?
A question that many ask.
And when you go deep, deep inside yourself and you look at your character and so on, you can find the answer. A second possible reaction is this a test? If it's a test, what is it a test of? Because everybody's weak in some area. And so a lot of time these situations are not punishment for some prior crime, but a trial that a person needs to undergo in order to become strong, because there's something else coming down, being brought to you by destiny, that requires you to have much greater strength than you have. And so this is preparing you for that. It's very positive. All of it is positive in the sense that if you did something against the law of karma, you're carrying a debt and you need to pay that off. Once you've paid your debt, you're free and you're light.
The virtue of compassion, which includes element of kindness and gentleness, is, I think, one of the most beautiful virtues that exist. It's not a virtue that gets a lot of attention nowadays. When something is hard and as difficult and as impossible as the law of karma is delivered to a person with compassion, how does it impact on its absorption by an individual seeking to understand? And what I'm thinking about, Sister Denise, is when people go to the Brahma Kumari's Raj Yoga Meditation Center or any religious or spiritual institution, many do so because of the pain and sorrow they have, and because they are in search of answers, they're in search of love, they're in search of support and understanding from a figure in a position of authority.
You know what's very important when you study this kind of thing is, if you know it theoretically, it will usually come out violently.
Whoa, yo, that's a wow? Seriously? When you use the word violently in this context, you mean emotional violence?
I do.
Oh my goodness.
And this is why you get instances of sort of institutionalized abuse, because people don't realize that knowing something theoretical is really not knowing it.
Theory means you equate theory with violence. Oh my goodness, that is so big. When one delivers truth, a harsh truth like the law of karma, the sign that the one delivering the message has really understood it is that it's delivered with a gentleness.
It's delivered with understanding of the other, and that's what compassion's all about. If there's no compassion, it's not spiritual.
So the deliverer of the message of a truth has to take into cognizance the listener's feelings.
You see, if you know something theoretically, you don't know it. It has to go to your heart before you really know it. And when you deliver it from the heart, it will have compassion, because compassion means that you feel with the other person. You cannot have an experience with the intellect side of your consciousness. You can only have an experience in your mind, and your mind is like your heart. So unless you have brought that understanding, that information into your life and into your heart, you really don't know what you're talking about.
That is very beautiful. So truth must reach one's heart.
And it must also be delivered from the heart.
Oh, I'm feeling that from you right now. Heart, that is. That's so lovely.
You know, one of the big problems, when people have been through trauma and difficulties in life, very often they close the heart.
Yes.
Then they become really good at knowing information, studying information, they understand everything, but because they have a closed heart, it just goes right from the intellect, like a knife, into somebody else's heart, and that's not right.
Let's look at the scenario now where no other person is involved except the one who's going through a tough time himself or herself. They are suffering, physical, mental, emotional, financial, whatever, they're suffering, and they say to themselves, I'm suffering because I'm being punished because this is my karma. And this leads to further pain, further trauma, and what is known deeply in spirituality, as well as a deep sense of disheartenment.
And this is because the person learned the spiritual information from somebody who knew it only theoretically, but who didn't really know it. That's why they think like that. And so that situation needs to be repaired, and big time, because that is not a good situation. That's educational, institutionalized violence. We can't move ahead like that.
The sign of understanding the law of karma accurately, and the sign of feeling the law of karma accurately in your heart, is that
you will communicate with a person understanding where they are, and you will accompany them until a point where they can handle harsh truths, but it has to be at the right time, in the right situation, when they're ready. When a person is experiencing a great blow, what they need is not harsh truth. What they need is someone to be with them. They themselves will have this freedom to process the information as they recover from the shock and so on. And they will themselves get the idea that, oh, you know, maybe this is karma. And then they will come and ask, you know, is this karma? And then you always have to see, where are they? And then deliver the information so that it applies where they are in such a way that they can take it in a way that it's always going to bring them benefit and bring them forward. Giving people information and destroying them with it, that's called violence. It's not called truth. In fact, there is a statement in our teachings. If you deliver the truth with anger, it's said, but I can say with violence, then that is not the truth.
As you speak, the image that appeared in my mind is a skillful doctor knowing what medicine to give to a patient and how to give it to a patient.
If you want to be really skilled and in spiritual wisdom, you have to be like that kind of doctor.
The ancient English idiom, "the truth shall set you free." Does that apply to the law of karma?
You know, it reminds me of a story. I was doing service in a prison where there was a very innocent young Mexican boy, maybe 16, 17, like they're young. And he said to me, "Sister, I told the truth because they said it would set me free and I ended up in jail." So innocent, you know. But the truth shall set you free has to be understood at a very deep level. And it does set you free, but it has to be acquired in the right way, at the right time, under the right circumstances. And this has to be used with wisdom, with skill. Otherwise, it doesn't set you free. This is why people wonder how the truth sets you free.
There are those listening to you right now who have received the so-called truth from so-called teachers with violence and are in shock about that. What is your message to such people?
Well, I think that the pedagogy needs to be looked at. Because it's an institutional thing. To just deliver information in such a way that it's like violence means that the person who's the teacher doesn't really know too much about teaching. And so there needs to be more understanding, more wisdom before you can just go out there and do damage, you know. It's like when a person goes to medical school, they learn all about it, but then they have an internship where they're under the supervision of someone who shows them how to do this. Nowadays, the apprenticeship that's needed so that you have not just only the theoretical information, but you really know how to work with it in the real situation of delivering. And this is something that in this day and age is very much missing.
What of the individual who's received such a teaching? What is your message to such a receiver, such a student who has been attacked by the law of karma or any other piece of spiritual knowledge and is suffering? What is your message to such a person?
What I've seen in my experience is that people who have been raised in violent or dysfunctional families give away their power to the person who's delivering the information because they feel inferior in comparison with this knowledgeable person. So this is one part of the equation. So then when I encounter somebody like this, which I do, then I need to work with that person so that they take back their power and that they will listen to maybe strong information and apply filters and take whatever is really applicable. And then I will usually have to spend a long time, many months, with a person so that they can sort of heal from that blow and that they can relearn spiritual information in such a way that they take it in as something which heals them, not something which violates them. But you find this in religious environments where people are what we could call fanatical. As fanatical people, they know all kinds of stuff, but it's not known in the heart, so it's delivered like bullets, you know.
This has been a lovely experience listening to you share what you did. Lovely. I do hope that Sister Denise's beautiful message has reached your heart. Truth is not the truth unless it is in your heart and delivered from your heart and received by the heart. What can be more beautiful than that? And I like particularly what Sister Denise shared, that understanding the law of karma properly means that you do not be hurt by this understanding. It frees you in a way. So please take to heart what was shared today and use it in your life to your best advantage. Take care and goodbye.